Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order for the Brawley City Council successor agency, the Brawley Community Redevelopment Agency, regular meeting for Tuesday, March 6th at 6 p.m. We can have the roll call, please.
The minutes will reflect all council members present.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the invocation by Pastor Jim Pazan from First Presbyterian Church of Brawley. Pastor.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we invite you into our presence this evening and ask for your blessing upon those who hold office and work in the service of the city of Brawley, that they may do their work in a spirit of wisdom, kindness, and justice. Help them use their authority to serve faithfully and to promote the welfare of Brawley. We invite your presence this evening, asking that you would provide guidance by the power of your Spirit to our leaders. We seek your blessing and pray for the business that is before this council, that you would guide those who are presenting and bring wisdom in all the council's decisions. We ask these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Pastor. Mr. Smearden, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, our city attorney. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
There's a motion. There's a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 2, public appearances and comments, not to exceed 4 minutes. This is a time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name for the record. You're not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. Please direct your questions and comments to the city council. Is there anyone here who would like to... excuse me, Mr. Reyes. Yes, and I will open it up. First, we're going to make a quick introduction of an employee, and then we'll move on to public comments. I'm sorry. So we'll start off with 2A, introductions of Assistant Chief Wastewater Treatment Plant Operator Edgar Beltran by City Engineer Public Works Director Guillermo Cias, and Sergeant Kaylee Orff by Interim Police Chief Kelly Brown, and Planning Technician Andrea Montano by Development Services Director Gordon Gay. So if you could all please take your time in coming up. Take your turns in coming up. I'd appreciate that very much. So we'll start here with the introduction of Assistant Chief Wastewater Treatment Plant Operator Edgar Beltran by the City Engineer, Public Works Director Guillermo Cias.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Guillermo Cias, Public Works Director. It is my pleasure to introduce to Mr. Edgar Beltran as an Assistant Chief of the Wastewater Treatment Plant. He grew up in Mexicali, where he graduated from the high school and studied 2 years of engineering in computer science. In 2004, he studied on the IBC Water Technologies, and after that, he was as a volunteer for the city of Sealy at the water treatment plant and the wastewater treatment plant. After obtaining his certification in 2009,
And thank you and welcome aboard. Is there any other additional comments from staff members or council? Congratulations. Welcome. Welcome aboard. Thank you. The next introduction will be introduction of Sergeant Kaylee Orff by Interim Police Chief Kelly Brown.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, Kelly Brown, Interim Police Chief. Tonight it gives me great pleasure to stand before you again. This is several times I've been up here now. Level 3 and Level 2 modular academy at College of the Desert in our neighboring county of Riverside. Once she was able to complete that coursework, she put herself through the Level 1 in Eureka. So as you guys may recall, we recently sent some officers up there that we put the bill for, recognizing the value. Well, Kaylee was kind of one of those who led that way for us, recognizing that was a viable option for us. So she graduated from that in June of 2011. In October of that same year, we hired her on as a Level 1 reserve. And to give you an idea, Level 1 reserves only are required to put in 16 hours a month. It's free for us. It doesn't cost us anything. She put in over 40 hours a week on a regular schedule to complete her training. About 3 months into that training, we had an opportunity to hire her full-time with a vacancy, and at the time, Chief Gilmore gave her that opportunity. Kaylee's been with us full-time since February of 2012. She was promoted to the rank of agent in February of 2015, and spent about 4.5 years in our investigations division, so quite the accomplished investigator. She's recently completed the coursework for her bachelor's degree in criminal justice through California Coast University, and with that, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Sergeant Kaylee Orff.
Good evening, Council. Just a couple words I'd like to say. First, I'd like to thank Chief Brown for this opportunity. It's a proud moment in my life and my career. I'm grateful to be employed with the City of Brawley. Every person here makes a positive impact on the community, and I'll strive to continue to do the same. Thank you for taking the time to recognize and be part of this accomplishment.
Fantastic. Congratulations. Sergeant Orff, on behalf of council, I just want to congratulate you on your achievement. I know you've worked hard to get where you are today, and I know you're going to continue to do great things for the city of Brawley. I always appreciate your positive personality and your jovial nature, and you've always been a great person to be around and work with. So congratulations to you on behalf of the city council. We wish you well, and please be safe.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
The next introduction will be of planning technician Andrea Montano by Development Services Director Gordon Geist.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Gordon Geist, Development Services Director. I have the pleasure of introducing to you Andrea Montano. She is our new planning technician. Andrea was born in Brawley, but she went to Central High School. Can't win them all.
But now she's back. There we go.
Now she's back.
Everything's good in the world now, right? Yeah.
She pursued her higher education beginning at IVC, and she got her bachelor's degree in political science from San Diego State University in the main campus in San Diego. And I believe she wants to pursue a master's degree, and she's already taken some classes here. So she does have some planning experience. She worked for 1.5 years for the Holt Group. So she's a very quick learner, very efficient. Everybody likes her. I hope she has a good future with the city. And also, it's her birthday on this coming Sunday.
Okay. Fantastic. Yeah.
All right.
I just want to thank the city for this opportunity.
All right, Andrea, welcome.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations to you on behalf of City Council. and we wish you well. It's a great career path that you're taking. So, please bring your talents to the city of Brawley and make them work for the benefit of the public and for the city. So, congratulations, and we wish you well. Any comments by council?
No, just
All right.
congratulations. Very proud of
Congratulations to
you
you.
for your
Good luck.
accomplishments.
Yeah. Great work, and thank you everybody for the introductions. Appreciate that very much. It's great to see new additions and promotions throughout the city. So fantastic work. The next item on the agenda is, of course, public comment and public appearances. Anybody who would like to make a public comment, please do not exceed 4 minutes. And this is for any item that is not appearing on the agenda. Please come up and make your comment to the city council.
Eric Reyes, 1128 Elm Court. This is regarding a program the city has, which has many benefits, but I'm also seeing, having experienced somebody that was having trouble understanding exactly the whole ramifications of it, is the HERO program. It's an excellent program that the city is offering in other cities and counties and so on, but I think there's a need to maybe check and work with the distributors, the people who are actually selling the units and working on there, have a very aggressive and non-inclusive way of trying to sell their product, and they're actually gearing towards people that have older units, maybe have homes that are a lot older. So sounds great, the savings they're going to have, and it is a great program, but I think they're not disclosing everything the way they should be, and they're making them make decisions very, very quick. We helped a couple that was involved with it, and we saw the tactics, and they were very persistent and insistent that they signed without them knowing all of the facts. And when we looked into it, it was not exactly as they had spelled out to them verbally. And even the final thing is on a telephone. The credit and the explanation is on a telephone. Very hard for a person to get all the facts that way. And we told them, we want to see it in writing, send us emails, give them the paperwork, we'll help them understand it step by step. And they were still very persistent on them signing. It seems like predatory lending, almost predatory lending to me, just like some of those loans where people didn't understand the full ramifications of what they were signing, or maybe, and it's something to consider. I'm saying it is a city program. You don't actually apply it yourself, but it is carrying the stamp of approval of the city of Raleigh. So I think the vendors need to be addressed. We're hoping that's the end result, and also make sure they understand that they can be pulled from the program if they continue. I could make this couple make a complaint. I still might. It'd be up to them, but make them know that they're being watched, and don't prey on those that don't need to be preyed on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Sir, anyone else who'd like to make a public comment? Please come up.
Thank you very much for allowing me the privilege of talking with you. I talked to Mrs. Moore, and she was helping me to understand a lot about the parking situation in Brawley.
I'm sorry, sir, if you could please state your name for the record.
Yeah, my name is William Andrew Grissett at P.O. Box 453, El Centro, California. I lived in Brawley and Holtville, and now I have a house in Imperial.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So I just want to be able to say that I appreciate the police putting these tags on my cars, okay? Because sometimes I do park my car in a place, but and I appreciate Maryland, being able to, excuse me, I don't know if Mrs. Moore, giving me these all these instructions about where to park, where not to. First grade was the worst 10 years of my life. So you see, I don't understand a lot of English and stuff like that, but I do understand, colored codes and things, red and green and things like that. And I was just asking. The problem is, the other day I got a little tag on my car saying, if you don't move this car in 12 hours, we're going to tow it. Now, I know it's not a big problem for people who are making $100,000 a year, but since I'm 72 years old on Social Security, if the police, the lady, she says, well, it's going to be $270 ticket plus, the towing charges are about $350. Like one towing guy told me, I could charge you $1,000 if I wanted to because there's nothing to stop me. And I'm going, wow, I hate to lose my car over that, So I'm just saying that I appreciate these. If the police would like to do this, I try to make sure that I move my cars, For 40 years I've been here, parking my cars, moving. But when they give me a little white sticker, I don't know who does it or whatever, but it scares me, okay? And so, I just wanted to let you know that I'd appreciate if you would talk to the police and say to them, these are really nice, But those little things, the white, it's 12 hours and we're going to confiscate your car. That's going to be a big problem for a guy, that's retired. I have 3 tours to Vietnam, and I don't think I deserve to have my cars towed, I'm still trying to earn a living. Thank you so much for allowing me the privilege of talking with you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to make a public comment on any item not appearing on the agenda?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Buenas noches. My name is Ismael Padilla. I'm from Brawley. The reason why we're here, some of the parents, some of the coaches, is we coach girls soccer, including boys. Most of them, for me, it's girls. For them, it's both. And we're having a hard time trying to, I guess you could say, get some parks reserved for us. And we've been trying to go the city, get the parks, whatever. They tell us to call them, we call them, no answer, email, sometimes they don't answer back. Stuff like this. And part of it being here is I would like to know what's the right process or who to talk to so we could get the things going. I mean, right now we have to go and actually invade some fields where they're playing just because there's lights, and we'll go to the side. If I reserve a field and some of these guys here, they have teams, excuse me, want to play, I'll give them half of the field. They're doing something for the community. They're doing something for the girls, okay? I do a high school coach. Those same girls, we try to keep them. We ask for grades. We taken them to CIF finals last year. First thing that ever happened in the Valley. The effort, the help that we got from the parks. So that kind of helped. It did help a lot. Now they got younger kids that are coming up. We're trying to get them off the street. We're trying to do something productive with the community. But at the same time, we're getting a roadblock as far as trying to get fields. We're not asking the whole hour, the whole day, hours, increments. We don't want the lights until midnight. All we're doing is asking for a couple of fields, and we'll deal with it. It's not just us, it's a bunch of other coaches, but they're afraid to speak in public, okay? And like I said, my number's 760-791-8884, and you guys could contact me and give me the right process, the steps to follow or go through so I could get a feel. If it's possible.
Certainly, that's easy enough, Mr. Padilla, and we can make sure that city staff reaches out to you to make sure that the process is clearly explained and it can be followed carefully and it can be benefit to everybody. So certainly that can take place.
Like I said, some of these coaches and just gentlemen over here, one's still hiding back there. Mm-hmm. They don't want to speak.
He does.
Well, most of us because
said they want to speak.
It's something for the community.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Rogelio Espinosa, 1009 Alama Street, here in Brawley. I having the same problem like he said. And I think it's not possible to believe how a team from here in Brawley has 2 parks to practice. And my team, CDB, doesn't have any park. I went to Parks and Recs and asked and say, oh, it's taken. It's taken the whole week. I'm just asking for 3 days a week with my kids, the U13 and U14 and U10. I'm asking just for a park. And they asked me to move the goalie poles because they are obstructing the alley. They have been there for 2.5 years, and until today is an issue with the goalie poles. I don't know if you guys can help me to get a park. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Nava, if I may,
Certainly.
just a piece of information that might be helpful to folks as it relates to Volunteer Park and Ed Soto Field. We're getting ready to start a construction project at Volunteer Park for the parking lot. So it's the next phase of parking lot improvements. So we're trying to clear all of the area so that equipment can go down the alley and gain access. And staff were involved in communicating with every user over the last week's period, some of which we communicated in writing because we weren't able to gain cooperation with just a verbal request. But that's the reason, is because we're trying to clear access. We'll have equipment running through there.
Yeah, we understand that. Thank you for the explanation. And my concern is how other team here in Brawley has 2 parks to practice.
I'd be happy to meet with your team representatives along with Parks and Recreation to explain the process. We try really hard to keep it fair for everybody. The challenge is we have many, many users, and so balancing all the user groups so everybody has access is a challenge, especially when the city runs its own programs. So once the city completes its city-sponsored programs, all the fields open up. Would be happy to work with you and your club on the reservation process, how it's first come, first served, and how reservations are made.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Javier Ventura, mi dirección es 264 y medio, calle H. Si alguien me puede traducir, yo nomás hablo español.
Sure, siga.
Ok, es el mismo problema que se está quejando Mr. Padilla y Rogelio. Pues nosotros, como yo tengo los coches, tenemos, al menos yo tengo más de 60 niños jugando aquí en Caléxico, pero practicamos aquí en Brawley. El problema es el parque y practicamos en el Soto. Antes nos daban 3 días y ahora nos quitaron, nomás practicamos 2 días. El problema es que cuando uno juega en un campo de soccer necesitamos 2 porterías para poder hacer los goles, ¿no es así? Pues ahora no lo tenemos ningún porterías en el Soto. Es el único problema de mi queja mío y pues los quejas de los coches otros. Gracias.
Muy bien. Muchas gracias, señor Ventura. Just a general comment with respect to his concern. He shared similar comments as Mr. Padilla and Mr. Espinosa. He coaches a group of soccer players of approximately 60 players, and he's had his time on the fields reduced from 3 days to 2. And again, he had the same and similar concerns as the other speakers. So, all right.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, does he want to leave his phone number so that he can also be contacted?
I believe we have his contact information.
Okay.
Mr. Ventura's, I'm Mr. Padilla, I have a phone number. Mr. Espinosa, not sure if I have a contact
Su número de teléfono.
Mi número de teléfono es 760-222-8598.
98, sí, gracias.
Got it. Okay.
And my phone number is 760-550-4954.
Thank you, gentlemen. There's another speaker.
54.
Hello, my name is Jose Torres, 1638 I Street.
Hello, Mr. Torres.
I'm one of the helpers for Coach Ventura, and it feels bad that we have to move our goals and move them back and forth. But whenever we ask for a park, that's for insurance, liability insurance. It's a $5 million insurance we have to buy in order to get the parks. And now the paper we got, I was the one that told them that to ask for the paper, because they only said it verbal. So I told them, and they told us in the paper that it was liability or safety issues, which we have insurance for that kind of, if something ever happens. So I don't see why there's a problem there. And the other thing is the same thing about the other people, the other coaches. I asked one of the Parks and Rec person, and she told me that probably because the other team has more kids, that's why they get more parks. That's why they get more days, which is basically might be true, but some of those kids are not even from here. They bring the team, whoever has a park, brings kids from San Luis, Yuma, El Centro, and they have them registered because there's competition soccer. Like that's what they figured out. They have so much kids, but which is not, they're not even from Brawley. So it's kind of hard for us that way. So that's why I think they actually have more time for the parks because they have more kids, but they're not from Brawley.
Sure.
So that's basically what I want to say. And I've been doing. I was the first one to start soccer here in Brawley, travel team. I have 6 trophies for second place. I never got to first, and it's been the same thing. We never been helped with soccer, and I wish we could get help more, man. We have good kids here, I have kids that are going all the way to Mexicali to play. I have some kids that go all the way to San Diego to play because we have talent here. But if we get pushed this walls all the time, guess what? The kids might, if I could bring all the kids, they'll say the same thing. And they're getting to the point that they want out. And right now we have kids from 9 all the way to 17-year-olds. So guess what? If this ends right now, what all the kids are going to do? Some of the kids are all they do is sit on the phone. We have over 80 kids. You see, because we have all girls team, we have 4 boys team. So we need help. We need help. We need help.
Certainly, thank you. One comment that I will share with you and the rest of the audience is that there's a benefit to having great parks, and it's a detriment as well, because we are a public facility, so anybody can come and use them regardless if they're Brawley residents or not. And so they're heavy use, whether that's for football, for baseball, for soccer. It's just a lot of demand for our parks, whether that's the pool or any other facility that we have. There is a lot of demand for our services and our utilities and for our parks. So it's not unusual for us to hear complaints and misunderstandings, but I would like to see if since there is several concerns that have been expressed, I'm hoping that staff can reach out maybe with the group and maybe facilitate a meeting to where everybody understands this is the process, this is what needs to be followed, and then there's a clear understanding of how things operate.
Sorry about that. We're not asking for a whole park, like the whole day. Like I told Miguel Padilla and Hugo, if they're coaches, another opposite team, and I told them we should all get together and sit and tell them, okay, this is an hour and a half each, and get out of there. Let not be too selfish and want the park for ourselves.
And that's my point to you and to the rest of the speakers, in that it may just be a matter of scheduling. And so once there's clear communication amongst everybody, I think that can probably be resolved. I know this for a fact, in that the city staff makes every effort to try and accommodate as many users as possible. So you're no exception. We will make sure that we do all we can to help your organization. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Would you leave us your phone number also?
442?
We do. I believe
have it already?
Yeah, we believe.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, and before they go, I just want to, and we do thank you for your volunteer time. I know that, that impact. As a youth coach myself for many, many years, I appreciate what you guys do, and I know I'm expressing that on behalf of council, so thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to make a comment to the city council?
Hi.
Hello.
Good evening. My name is Sylvia Castañeda. My address is 274 I Street here in Brawley. I'm a local small business owner. My business is called Sylvia's Little Treasures, and nobody has been there. It's kind of like a vintage boutique. And I'm here in regards to see if I can request the council to maybe revisit the ordinance that is affecting my business and not my business. Also my neighbor, which he will come right now. And this is where I'm not able to put any items out in front of my business. It's not in the sidewalk, and it's not in front of the cars, because I have things there. They can open the car and get down. And now that I'm not able to put anything out because of this ordinance, it's affecting my business. My customers, I can't attract any customers. And whatever I feel, and a lot of my customers know, whatever I put out in front of my business, I feel reflects what I have inside my shop. And this is how I can get people to come into my shop, because they see, these beautiful colors, little furniture, shabby, vintage, whatever, and that's just how I pull them in. And now without that, I have people passing by, making U-turns, coming in, sticking their heads in and asking me if I'm open, because it doesn't look like I'm open anymore. And there's some customers. I have customers that are high school children all the way up to adults. I even have a few of my high school students that are here too. So it's not just It's a lot of people that come into my shop, and now I think my shop is going to, you know, hurt because of what I have to, you know, follow now. I feel
So just so I'm clear, though, it's with respect to items that are on the sidewalk that you're placing outside? That's...
It's not in the sidewalk, it's in the middle area. We have...
If I could just give a little background. So the municipal code, as it relates to the downtown specific plan area, prohibits activity to occur in the city right-of-way without a conditional use permit. This topic was a subject matter that went before the Business Advisory Committee as well as Planning Commission and Council, and I believe Ms. Castañeda was a part of some of those discussions. Unfortunately, after a lot of discussion, the positives, the negatives, concerns raised with reference to the beautiful items that you feature on the sidewalk and some concerns about other vendors in the downtown area that maybe there isn't high agreement on the method for display or the uniformity in the approach. The council ultimately opted to leave it as is and use the conditional use permit process as the mechanism. So as it stands, the way the policy is written is if vendors, for instance, if the two of you wanted to together apply for a conditional use permit, you could do something, for instance, that would say, you know, it could be any number of forms, but you could say something like one day a month or X number of times a month. You want to have certain special activities that are in the outdoor area. Or, you know, there's different ways you could frame it, but it would go through a hearing process, go to the Planning Commission, and then come to the council.
Excuse me, my name's Earl Allen. I'm representing Lalo's. I'm going to give the address there, 129 6th Street. We understand that process, but the problem that we're having is that we would like, she has her items out front, and I used to have a barbecuer there that I bring in every night and put it outside to promote my catering service that I have on the weekends. Well, I was reprimanded by the city of Brawley with the written reprimand. I don't know what's the procedure behind you. From a lot of people have been saying, well, you got to get a verbal warning first, then you get written up, and then, you know, whatever. But, you know, what's the process there? How does that work?
Okay.
Like, so we had a little event, and it was a great outing. She was present there. It was a great night, and we didn't have permission to do it, I guess you could say. People just showed up, and, you know, we have a taco shop and a little shop there, and we had a little music outside. Show up Monday morning, and I got this paper from the city. This guy who just came in front, bluntly in front of the customers. We're struggling little shop that's, you know, 4 months old. So, you know, we're trying to work something here, and when we have things like that happen, it just, you know, what do we do?
So I'm sorry it was a negative experience for you. The issue that arose with reference to the activity is that a partial street closure occurred, and when you put items in the city's street, there are dangers to the traveling public. So what we would do is work with a vendor such as you that would ensure that both pedestrians and cars are properly separated so that we don't have cars plowing into a crowd. Right. So your particular instance was actually driven by a couple of complaints. Right. And once we're put on notice, I actually think it was multiple because I was a recipient of one and departments were also recipients. But it's intended to educate and advise. This is the ordinance.
But hold on. Let's just address the issue real quick. This is really a time for public comment. It's not a time to engage back and forth. But let's just
So
clarify.
I'm just trying to give you the background for it. So what happens is we try to go out and explain this is what the ordinance is, this is what it allows, this is what it prohibits. So you're aware anywhere in the city limits, if someone went and tried to stop the traveling public in a city street, it would likely generate a response from PD because you can't close a public street.
So we can legally post up, or she can legally put a few things outside her door to promote her business?
Not at this time.
Okay,
but
why does There's other businesses that are doing it here. We have pictures. Do they have a special permit they apply for to do that?
So I'll share with you that a number of times throughout a fiscal year, we actually go through and do a education and compliance push.
There's a few spots there that
there are,
and it would be the same setup that's in our alley, our front there is the same setup that this building has, and they have benches that are bolted down to the ground.
Any benches, Mr. Allen, just to stay on topic, the comment was with respect to the city ordinance and to see if we can revisit that topic. I think that message has been heard clearly by the city council. I will meet with you personally, and I'll visit with you, with the two of you, and make sure that I fully understand where your concerns lie, and I'll bring those items back to council. And I do believe that there's an option to make some solution work for everybody. And I do understand that there are some outlets within the city of Brawley that do have materials outside, and that's not something that's accepted, but unfortunately it is done, and they're addressed on whenever they need court. But we will make sure and we revisit, certainly.
Okay, the permit that is gonna that we're allowed to use to get the stuff out there, is this the permit that still costs us $2,000?
It's actually not a permit process. You want to explain it?
Well, there's two topics that are being referred to right now. There's an ordinance change, which is one way to address things like the chalkboard signage that might go out on a sidewalk to say open. An ordinance change. Then the other avenue would be a conditional use permit, which, let's say you wanted to have certain special events a set number of times a year. The example that I can provide to some folks that you may recall as council and members of the audience, we had a desire of some downtown merchants to take advantage of activities during cattle call season so they could bring certain wares outside to sell them when normally everything would have to be inside.
So these are just special days?
Right. So there's lots of ways to structure
it. Special days is when business can be picked up, and without those special days, then business is going to go down.
No, the conditional use permit has a set number of times a year, whereas an ordinance change would say it's universal for everybody within a defined boundary. So it would be up to the council to decide, do they want to change all activities, which, the discussion the last time really centered around some of our thrift stores on Main Street and some of the concerns with the nature of their display. The Chamber of Commerce was very actively involved in that discussion as well, trying to come up with uniform measures. And if you'd like, I'd be happy to provide all the agendas and minutes, because I did package and provide those to all the council members as background information after your particular set of events.
But if you don't mind, so we stay on topic. With respect to the ordinance, we can certainly revisit that. But I would like to meet with you away from the city council chambers at your facilities, just so I could visually see what the concerns are and we can address them that way.
One more quick question.
Sure.
Okay, I'm also on 6th Street, and I'm also considered on the District Arts District. And I wanted also to know if there's any funds allocated to help me with that, with any of what the ordinance is or the permit or whichever way is going to help me. Was there not funds also for the Arts District?
There really isn't allocated funds. It's just been determined to be an arts district in support of local artists and organizations and trying to revitalize downtown. But there isn't like a pool of money that's been allocated for that. But we can certainly have that conversation. There's some other plans for downtown that I think are coming to fruition here this year. And I'd love to be able to meet with you. If it's sometime tomorrow or the day after that, we can certainly get together and talk about your concerns. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else who'd like to make a comment before the city council on any item not appearing on the agenda? Seeing none, we're going to move on to scheduled presentations. The next item is item 3, scheduled presentations, update by Charlotte Teeters, Executive Director of the Imperial County Film Commission.
Good evening, Charlotte Teeters with the Imperial County Film Commission. just wanted to come give you a quick update on what we've been up to, how busy we've been, and all that other good stuff. So what I'm passing out, just so you have a good idea of how last fiscal year played out, 16-17, it shows you that we had 69 track projects throughout the year, and it gives you a breakdown. We had 9 commercials, 5 documentaries, 2 independent films, 9 student films, 7 music videos, 10 short films, 4 reality television products, 2 feature films, 15 still projects, and miscellaneous.
And not to
7.
mention all the other projects that don't get permits,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So,
not to
yeah.
mention all the guerrilla filming that we
Yeah.
catch
Yeah.
frequently happening in the county.
Are those the YouTubers or something?
No,
That's
there's
or
actually
something
production.
else? Oh, really?
There's a lot of production, but YouTube is a really good topic. It's one of those things that I'm having to figure out how we're gonna deal with that, because technically some people are just shooting film and they just want to put it on their YouTube channel, but some of those YouTube channels are commercial channels that make a lot of money.
Right.
So it's one of those weird lines that we have to figure out we're working with California Film Commission to figure out what are those parameters. So those 69 projects brought in an estimated economic impact greater than 1.7 million. And so far this year, we are at 46 completed projects, and we're at an estimated, excuse me, 1.2 million. So we have quite a few more months left. Spring, for some reason, is always a big time. We have a couple productions going on this weekend, and probably, I think, 5 at this point for March set. Before the end of March. Just a reminder, the mission of the Imperial County Film Commission is to attract productions and media companies to Imperial County, maximizing the county's economic potential by promoting locations, accommodations, services, and talent from the area. The Film Commission also seeks to efficiently mediate the permitting process between private owners, federal, state, local agencies, and the filming industry. So that's the mission of the organization. And I just wanted to say I appreciate Brawley and how Brawley and Film Commission work together. And we appreciate your support that helps us to continue the work of the Film Commission, and hope that you will consider, as we move forward, continuing to support the Film Commission. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions from City Council? No questions. Well, thank you again, Charlotte, for your work and for bringing us this update on the projects. And it's a great number. We hope to see it grow higher and higher year after year.
It
So thank you.
fluctuates every year, but some years we got 99, some years we got 70. So.
Right? Yeah. Well, thank
All
you
right.
again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is scheduled presentation. It's 3B, update on training activity for Marine Aviation Weapons and Tactics Squadron 1 by Major Evan Buxton. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, sir.
I was close, sir. But
Oh,
you
all right.
phonetically pronounced it
Okay.
correct. I just, family-wise, it's Eben.
Eben, okay.
Major Evan
Eben.
Buxton from Marine Corps Air Station Yuma. It's where MOTS 1 is located. For those who are not familiar with MOTS 1, the best way to think about us is we're kind of the Marine version of the Navy's Top Gun. Everybody's kind of seen that movie.
Sure.
The difference being that, Marine Corps, we're kind of like a smaller version of the rest of the Department of Defense, because we have aircraft, we have ground forces, and we have logistics forces. And we tend to operate in what's called a Marine Air Ground Task Force. So we kind of have the whole picture at MOTS 1. So before I get into kind of our mission at MOTS 1, first off, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to come and talk to you. I think Major McClinn, who's the head of the Air Officer Department, the part of MOTS 1, and I, whenever we travel, wherever we go, the America in general loves the military, and we never cease to get thanked for our service, which we certainly appreciate. This is kind of one of the nice opportunities that we get to say thank you to some of the American people, because, both of us love our job, and without the rest of America doing their job outside of the military, we don't really have a purpose. So thank you, first off, for that. And then also the big part of the thank you is allowing us to come twice a year and operate here. And then there are some other units. I've been working with Mrs. Moore now for a while, last couple years, and my predecessors before that, to come and train here twice a year, and then also coordinate every now and again for certain units that demonstrate that they're, mature, they're not going to come and take advantage of the training. But what that training does is provide very realistic and important scenarios and experience for Marines that are going to be in units that go to all corners of the world and do the mission the Marine Corps does, which in some cases is fighting and defending freedom. In other cases, it's providing humanitarian aid and assistance in the Philippines, to tsunami relief, to Haiti. So we do a full spectrum of operations. So that kind of takes me back to what MOTS 1 does. So we're an aviation squadron. We have instructors in every type of aircraft the Marine Corps flies, operates, as well as maintainers that take care of those aircraft. And then you have us. So the Marine Corps did something, has been doing something kind of special. One of the things that makes us special is our integration of aviation assets with our ground forces. So something we've been doing since Vietnam is taking aviators out of the cockpit, realizing that the knowledge they have coming from the wing can be utilized well with the infantry Marines, the artillery Marines on the ground. And essentially we're the Air Officer Department, and we integrate that for the ground forces and provide expertise that only comes from the wing. So whether that's close air support, so fire support, whether it's bringing in medevac, casualty evacuation, things like that, we advise the ground commanders on doing that. And our department trains the Fleet Marine Force Air Officers at the 06 and 05 level command most of the time, and sometimes up at like a general officer command. So we take that very seriously, and so our students we put as a vital cog in helping Marine forces who operate in that Marine Air Ground Task Force construct integrate all aspects of that MAGTF. So to get to this specific part, we put on what's called the Weapons Tact Instructor course twice a year. Every aviation unit across the Marine Corps, from Japan to California to North Carolina to South Carolina, will send specific individuals from each squadron or unit to come here. They've identified as kind of the elite folks in the ready rooms with the kind of the most experienced, usually captain level folks, sometimes majors, to come and train with us. We make them weapons and tactics instructors, and they go back and are the leaders in the ready room in both the latest tactics and training their squadron, their units, or their air officers. So how that relates to come into Brawley. Most of the time we're spending our exercises out in the range in the desert, so we can apply certain types of ordnance, certain types of training methods. What we can't do is be in a complex urban environment. So the 3 days that we get to spend in Brawley, what we do for the exercise is, so we're not following around local citizens, we bring Marines to act like the people we want to follow around, and then we have very limited vehicles and then controls. So Major Rick Clint, our department head, is usually the one out here running this event, because we have a couple going on in other ranges and things, but he controls where they go, he knows where they are, and then we have specific completely unarmed aircraft that we'll try and follow and find those, staying on roads. We're not like going into backyards or putting in driveways, but it provides that atmosphere that is just so hard to replicate in a range, or with other Marines acting like other folks. There is really nothing else like it. So the fact that you allow us to come here and train, work in and around your town, is extremely important to the Marine Corps. Marine Corps Aviation, MOTS 1, and really those people that are going to go out, be at the forefront of operations for the U.S. military and the Marine Corps, and integrating those forces, whether, again, it's humanitarian assistance, whether it's something kinetic in a combat zone, or anywhere in between. So we want to say thank you, and we hope that the relationship we have with the town of Brawley can continue, because it is extremely important to us.
Thank you very much, Major, and really thank you for your service. So I know you hear it often, but from the city of Brawley, we really appreciate you being here and anything we can do for you and for our country, we're certainly ready to do that. So we appreciate the presentation. I think it was very well said and very detailed. So I appreciate that very much. And please excuse me for mispronouncing your name. So.
No problem at all, I promise. I'd say the last thing that I really appreciate is Rosanna has been extremely cooperative, responsive, and we obviously couldn't do what we do without the help and the coordination that she provides, and so we absolutely appreciate it. The other, I guess, really the last thing I'll say is, so Major McClellan and I are both in receipt of orders to move this summer. So Major Hand could not be here tonight. He's actually working up some final coordination for this spring WTI course that starts on Sunday. All the students check in. But he will be the one that coordinates in the future with Rosanna, at least for the next year and a half. So what we'll probably like to do, and we'll continue to coordinate with you, ma'am, is come out, provide updates. And any time you've got a question or anything, don't cease to, do not cease to ask us. There'll be other units that try and call and talk to you. We usually try and, usually the people that are going to call and ask have been our former students. So if we know who they are, we know they're going to be responsible. Captain Kimmons, who I believe talked to you before from the 13th Marine Expeditionary Unit, phenomenal student, used to living room as well. He's a guy that's going to be responsible, keep the footprint low, impact to the city low. But at the same time, it's also probably good to, some of the citizens get to see that about. So I'd say the same thing to you. We appreciate the work. The police department's great every single time. So again, I can't say enough about how hospitable you guys are.
Thank you for your presentation. Any comments from the city council? I know there's probably some comments.
All I want to throw out there is just, obviously, I'm kind of here all the time, so most people know, but I do want to express to you that just myself, my family, I come from a long line of military pilots, and have my son currently serving as a military pilot as well. I do want to share that I think so many folks in this town are so supportive of the mission that's going on around the world, to have that opportunity to train here. We often do get comments as council members, and to me, they've always been actually positive. It's amazing. My thought that came to mind was it would just be nice maybe at some point if there's some interaction with the public, not so informal, because I think they see some of the troops sometimes when they're here downtown, but perhaps when we have the change of command or the next major steps in, maybe there's some introduction we can do there with some of our citizens, or something we can do here downtown. It'd be wonderful. Kind of continue not only the buy-in, but it would just be a great opportunity. I know for a lot of folks that would appreciate having that interaction. But thank you very much. It's hard not to turn it back at you guys.
I think that is very easy. Our commanding officer, Colonel Wellens, departs in May. One of his key points whenever we're doing confirmation briefs leading up to every WTI is he wants to know about Brawley. Can we do more Brawley? Are we taking care of Brawley when we're there? Are we responsible with it? And I'm sure his replacement, Colonel Gallman, will care, equally as much. So I think that's an easy thing to do a formal introduction and have more than just a couple of us from the Air Officer Department. Probably also some of the flying divisions that will, the Hueys and the Cobras, the H-1s that will fly overhead, as well as our Harriers, Hornets, F-35. I mean, so that's another thing. You have F-35s that come and train over here, which is, unofficially the new hotness for the military. So
they can land at the Brawley Airport.
Yeah.
They can land anywhere.
We have, like I said, we've got all of them, and this is important. So I think doing a meet and greet with all those members is probably something we can arrange. So if that's the right venue to continue to work through.
Happy to work with you guys.
Perfect.
Super. Thank you. Any comments? Yeah.
Yeah, just one. We do get a few minor complaints about noise and vibration from the helicopters, I think primarily. The one thing I always tell people is that it's a small sacrifice to make sure that our armed forces and the young men and women that serve in them are very well trained. So I think it's a small sacrifice that Brawley makes in this instance. Coming from a line of combat veterans from World War I to World War II to Afghanistan. My son was in Afghanistan. You can be assured that I support the Marine Corps entirely, and the guys that are up there training, and I'll continue to do so as long as I'm a council member. And so I think it's important that you be here. I think people, an educational process maybe a little bit more, I think we'll get that word out there, and I think we're fine with it. I think we made this decision quite a few years ago. I think you've been utilizing our town now for quite a few years in a variety of different ways, and I think we made the decision because we feel that it's our patriotic duty, and it's something that we want to continue to do with the Marine Corps.
Sir, to respond to I guess some of the business rules we have or that we use when we're operating here. You heard me discuss about how we operate on the ground floor, so we're not, everybody's privacy is important to us. So we're not, trying to spy. We're focusing on our, our people we bring out to do the role playing. But as far as the aircraft, the fixed wing, the jets are staying above 10,000 feet because there's a military, essentially kind of airspace that starts at 10,000 feet and goes, I forget the top of it, but we're generally staying between 10 and 15,000 feet for fixed wing. They're never coming down below that. And then the rotary wing, we're keeping at 1,000 feet above ground level all the time. If we need to revisit that, if that's too low, we certainly can. In an urban area based on small arms threats, they're generally going to stay above 1,500 feet AGL anyway, and that's usually where they're operating. But again, if we need to adjust our business rules to accommodate the town, we are more than happy to do that because, again, we don't want to take advantage in any way of the hospitality.
Sam, I thought you were talking about me, though.
I think it's your helicopter that make a lot of the virus. Over my house, anyway, it's the Reach helicopter.
I might have to revisit our business rules,
since I'm a recipient of a Reach life flight to San Diego, I have some affinity for Reach too, so they can, pretty much come into Pioneers anytime they want to.
And I was going to mention, if you are going to spy on this, I want to know what he's doing. So. Any other comments?
I'd just like to thank you for your presentation because I knew you were in town, and like everyone here, I think at Brawley and all the citizens support you. My husband is a Vietnam era vet, and he can tell what's flying up there. I think he hears it, and he says something like cobras or whatever. So I know he recognizes all of that, and we truly appreciate it. But I really sincerely appreciate your presentation because it really tells me exactly who's out there and what you're doing. And so now we can respond to some of the questions from our citizens also. Right. And I think, in general, we love having you here.
Thanks. Not to continue talking too much because I know it's getting later, but many of you have mentioned a long line of lineage of service, and you mentioned Vietnam. So we have a specific day in our course. Every division brings in, it's called Guest Speaker Day, and we bring in folks to talk to our students to give them perspective. A couple years ago, actually the siege at Khe Sanh in Vietnam, the forward air controller there was injured, and he had a radio operator, so he was evacuated. And his corporal radio operator is named Bob Arata. Bob took over and became the FAC for Khe Sanh. And Time Magazine wrote an article on him and called him the mightiest corporal. And he took over, a young enlisted man took over and became really the first enlisted joint terminal attack controller, which is now a formal thing now, similar to a FAC. We used to have him come talk to us. Bob, unfortunately, a couple years ago passed away because of cancer. Well, the artillery forward observer version of Bob, the scout who had a artillery lieutenant he worked for, the lieutenant was evacuated, and this young scout named Glenn Prentice took over. So we now have Glenn Prentice come out and talk to us at our social and guest speaker day, and he was the artillery forward observer who would do the call for fire for like Willie Pete marks that then the aircraft would roll in on. And so him and Bob were best friends, and we now have him come and talk to us, show us pictures. The second parts of his presentation, he actually repatriates the remains of U.S. service members from Pacific Theater, from Vietnam, Tarawa, Okinawa, places like that. So you talk about the lineage and the history, again, another thing that's very important to us and to our students. So I want to let you know we also take that very seriously.
Thank you,
Major. Have you already completed your training here?
So, yes, sir. For this year?
Yeah.
No, sir. It'll be April 4th through the 6th.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So you should see some Marines in woodland camouflage. Normally we would base out of the airport, but due to some of the construction, I think we're working for something
here in the plaza.
Here in the plaza.
Wow.
So if you want to combine those days from about a little after lunch until we should be wrapping up around 9:30, and driving out of here for the night each of those 3 days. You'll see some of the Marines, Major McClin.
Fantastic. Well, again, thank you very much for everything, your presentation. Wish you very well, and we're happy to be part of your training. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. That's item 4. Is there a motion? Items are approved by one motion. Council members or members of the public may request consent items be considered separately at a time determined by the mayor. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as written?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is something fairly unusual for us. It's not a process we conduct at all times, so I'm going to make sure we're very careful with the process here, and it's a continued public hearing, and so I want to make sure that I go through this correctly. There was some changes in the order here, and I want to make sure we follow the order as we need to. So if you could bear with me, I'd appreciate it very much. Want to make sure we go step by step here and we address it correctly so that the public hearing and its action is final and it can't be contested later. So want to make sure this is correct. So continued public hearing, we'll start first. Discussion and potential action to approve formation to establish Community Facilities District CFD 2017-01 for Rancho Porter specific plan area. And so there's backup material on pages 54 and 85. But having said that, I'll make these formal comments. And it's a public hearing. The City Council has previously adopted Resolution 2017-49, declaring its intention to establish City of Brawley Community Facilities District 2017-1, Rancho Porter, to authorize the levy of special taxes and call an election therein. Notice of the public hearing has been published in accordance with the law. I declare this public hearing open at this time. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this matter? If so, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and present your comments. Is there anyone? So I'm opening up the public hearing, and is there anyone from the public who would like to make a comment on this particular item? Not everybody at once, please. No rushing. It's not the soccer field, so it's, it's not as, all right. All right, so see no comments, no speakers, I hereby declare the public hearing closed. There will be 2 resolutions that will be considered.
Is it 3?
Well, 2, that's it, ordinance.
Okay.
There's 2 resolutions that will be considered. And I will begin by reading, it's item 5A2, and it's adopt resolution number 2018- Resolution of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, establishing the Community Facilities District number 2017-1, Rancho Porter, authorizing the levy of special taxes and calling an election therein. So, do we need to make a motion?
Yes, you can make a motion. If there's a second, you can move.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that, as read by you.
Okay.
I'll second.
There's a second, there's a motion, and there is a second. Any discussion by council? Okay, then all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. The next resolution is item on the agenda, so you can follow, is item 5A3, adopt resolution number 2018- Resolution of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, acting in its capacity as a legislative body of the Community Facilities District number 2017-1, Rancho Porter, certifying the results of the March 6, 2018 special tax election. So, is there a motion?
This evening, Mr. Nava, we do have ballots that are on hand, and at this juncture, the Deputy City Clerk is prepared to open those ballots and read into the record both the status of the waivers submitted as well as the ballot results.
Okay, so just so we're clear, that resolution we will act on after the ballots have been read.
Correct.
Okay, so if our deputy city clerk can please open the ballots. So just so for the public's benefit, how many ballots are there?
There is 4 ballots.
There are 4 ballots. So the election was conducted, and this is the reading of the ballots of the results of that election. Okay.
Correct. And the voters are various landholder interests within the specific plan area.
Very well. And our deputy city clerk is being very careful and not
Yes, not
ripping anything.
process.
It's a very methodical process.
So
Okay.
I need to add a note. No.
What I would do is simply state yes or no and the number of votes referenced and who they represent.
Okay, this one is representing from Diana Danny, and she is saying, the vote is yes, and there's 64 votes.
Okay.
This one is representing by Betty Jean Sprinkle, and the vote is yes, 95 votes. This is from Brent Investment, and the vote is no, 6 votes.
Just to clarify, that was Brandt Investments. Okay.
And this one's from Robert Porter, and the vote is yes, and 46 votes.
All right, so have we added those totals up? That's 205 yes votes and 6 no votes. Is that correct?
Correct.
For a total of 211 votes?
Correct. 211 votes, yes.
So what is required for tonight's action is that a majority of at least 2/3 of the votes cast is in favor in order to establish the CFD.
Very well.
Yes, 2/3.
Okay. So now we'll move on to the item 3, correct?
Correct.
All right, so having heard the results of the election, is there a motion to adopt the resolution number 2018, resolution of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, acting in its capacity as a legislative body of the Community Facilities District number 2017-1, Rancho Porter, certifying the results of the March 6th, 2018 special tax election?
So moved.
There's a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much. So the next item is, and we're done at that point. The ordinance, okay.
The first reading of an ordinance.
All right, so this is the first reading of ordinance number 2018-1, which would assess special taxes and CFD number 2017-1. We could waive the reading,
Of
or?
the entire text.
Okay,
Yes.
and so the entire text, is there a motion to waive the reading of the entire text of the ordinance?
So moved.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
And just for reference, the title of the ordinance is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Brawley acting in its capacity as the legislative body of City of Brawley Community Facilities District number 2017-1, Rancho Porter, authorizing the levy of a special tax within the Community Facilities District.
All right.
And Mr. Mayor, if anybody would like a copy of that, you have it available for them to review or read
Right.
if any of the public or the press wants something. Okay.
All right, this concludes the proceedings for the formation of the Community Facilities District number 2017-1. Thank you. And I thank you all for your patience in that it's not something we do on a very frequently, so it's just, I wanted to make sure that we did it step by step, so it's done correctly. So again, thank you very much, and congratulations. Yes. Any comment? If you'd like to come up?
As everyone knows, almost all of you have been through this process with our whole family and all the families involved. It has been a lengthy process. Someone put it in the format of like getting an operation. It hurts at first, but as you progress, it gets better and better, and things are starting to smooth out. All of our families are really happy that this is moving at this pace. We're getting close, and I appreciate all of your work. Most of you are here from the start. Some of you haven't been, but this has been a long, long process, and we can see light at the end of the tunnel.
Fantastic.
And I appreciate it. The families appreciate it.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations and best of luck. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And it has been a long process, but I'm glad that we're here today. So thank you. Thank you. All right. So that was interesting.
Okay.
The next item on the agenda is discussion potential action to approve the sale and consumption of alcohol on city property, specifically Plaza Park and Main Street, on April 7th, 2018, from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. for the Cesar Chavez celebration. Backup material is on pages 86 through 90.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion at this time to approve.
There's a motion to approve.
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion by council? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay. With respect to your abstention, would you like to state your reason, please, for the benefit of the public?
I have a personal aversion to alcohol, so I.
Okay. Is that a no vote then, or is that an abstention to the vote?
An abstention.
Okay, all right. So we have 4 yes votes, no votes, 0 no votes, and 1 abstention.
And I'd like to say thank you, and Pat Dorsey's spirit of coming up and having all the action taking lives on.
Without having to say anything.
Yes, so thank you.
Thank you.
We believe in tradition here in Brawley.
Next item on the agenda is regular business 6B, discussion and potential action to approve the award of project number 2018-01, Hinojosa Park ADA improvements to Masters Construction in the amount of $818,895 with an approved contingency of $81,889.50. Backup material is on pages 91 through 95.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Guillermo Sillas, Public Works Director. As Mr. Mayor read, this is to award a contract to Masters Construction for this project to improve Hinojosa Park, including ADA improvements as the complete remove and replacement of the basketball court, installation of new sidewalks around and through the park. Also include ADA ramps and driveways, and also something that is, well, personally very excited about a new fitness area for disabled people. I had previously opportunities in some other places to see those, and I would say that it's a very great addition to this park. So any questions that you might have?
I have no questions. I mean, if there are no questions from council, I'd be honored to make the motion to approve it to a local company, Masters Construction.
Right.
I'll second that.
All right. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion by council? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right.
We're looking forward to this one.
Yes, very nice.
Yeah.
Local company.
Yes.
We really like that.
Congrats. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda is regular business 6C, discussion and staff direction regarding regarding a support letter, right?
Yes, correct.
To Prop 69, number no on Senate Bill 1 repeal, and the backup material is on pages 96 to 102. I think this came on behalf of the California League of Cities. All right.
This is from California League of Cities.
Right.
Because we're getting a lot of feedback on SB1.
All right, so the backup material is on page 96. And this is to see what council's directive was with respect to whether or not we wanted to write a letter in opposition of the repeal.
So the League of Cities is preparing to work on an education piece that has to do with Prop 69. Prop 69, a vote that is yes, would be in favor of keeping SB1 in place. I guess that's probably the easiest way to refer to it. So their campaign is oriented towards a yes on Prop 69 is a no on the repeal of SB1. And given the very active discussion that's gone on, typically a letter of support comes to the council for an action item before I prepare it. And in this instance, because it was unclear where a majority of the council might be on the topic, your options are to move forward with preparation and submittal of a letter, no action at all, or modifying the approach.
Any comments from council with respect to writing a letter in support or opposed to it? Any comments? Councilmember Couchman?
I've been getting a lot of feedback from the public regarding the tax on fuel. Pretty negative, I think, in many, many ways. I'm concerned that I have a couple of concerns. One is if the feds also put a fuel tax on, then we're going to be faced with gasoline, say, over $4 a gallon possibly in the near future. I'm also concerned that I don't believe that we in Imperial County get a large amount of this money. I don't know that it's going to be. I don't know that it's valuable to. I don't know that I want to oppose it or anything, but I also don't know that I want to be very supportive. I'm not sure that we get that much money from this. In fact, I think our share of the money is very small,
very limited,
based upon what's going to go to LA and San Francisco and all the other big cities in the state of California, but it will impact our economy because people are having to pay the higher tax rate. I can tell you that with this tax continuing, if the feds put one on it, I can drive to Yuma, fill up, come back home, and I save money. So it's kind of like, I'm not sure that I don't know that that's a good thing. I don't know that I want to get politically involved in this. I see this as kind of like where we are not allowed to politicize, like local propositions that relate to taxes, and I'm not sure that I want to get into a political battle on this one either, based upon what I see the benefit coming to Imperial County. I don't necessarily want to write a letter in opposition to the repeal, but I also don't want to write a letter in support of Prop 69. So, I mean, I'm kind of at a quandary there, at least on a personal level, not speaking for the entire council, simply speaking for myself as a council member.
Well, thank you for your comments.
Mr. Mayor, and I'm making mine real quick. We're a $2 billion ag economy here. This hits the ag industry hard. I think we all know that. So regardless of that, whatever benefits our community, I think generally we are for, but in this case, it's very hard to support something that's had an adverse effect on the ag industry. So that's my opinion. I would be of the mindset, my personal mindset, that we're not for, or we don't take a step to write an overt letter in support.
Very well. Any other comments?
Well, I'm kind of like Sam. I've been getting a lot of comments about the taxes on the gas, and people even saying, why do we even live in California anymore? We're going to move to another state because it's so overtaxed. Those are general comments that I've been hearing. I mean, I know that we're part of the League of Cities, but I'm kind of also on the fence as far as whether or not I would actually support it.
Easy enough. My only comment I've received was from Councilmember Couchman that he's going to drive to Yuma to go get gas.
No, I didn't say I was going to do that. I said it would be valuable to do that, possibly, if we get additional taxes on fuel.
All right. Any comments from?
You guys have said it all. I think I'm in agreement with all of you.
I think the directive is not to do anything. How about that? It's simple enough.
I mean, whatever happens, happens.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Taking no action is an action in and of
The next item on the agenda is driving to Yuma for gas. All right. 6D. Regular business, 6D. Discussion potential action regarding Imperial Valley College Foundation Hall of Fame induction and dinner, April 19th, 2018, and that's a sponsorship. This item, I believe, had a recent conversation with an organizer, and I think they brought in a request. And I think one of the Hall of Fame, IVC Hall of Fame inductionees is a former Brawley resident. So, at any rate. So anyway, is there backup material for this particular item?
There is not. Our city clerk indicated that she had received a request to place this item on the agenda.
Is there a flyer?
Is there a representative?
Yeah.
Who's the inductee?
There was,
Do you have the information?
I think it was Mr. Silva.
Mr. who?
Mr. Silva, but I'm not sure of
Mr.
the
Silva?
name. Yeah,
Okay.
not sure of the
All
name.
right, well,
And
maybe a friend.
my understanding was that they were going to bring a flyer. So, what was in the email that we received? Was there a dollar figure? It was like either table or individual purchases or whatever it was. I would just say that since the backup material is lacking, if we would like to individually attend, then that can be determined from your personal budget.
Right. Can't we?
If you'd like, we could have the item continued to the next meeting with backup.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Does that work? And then it
That'd be
gives us a
great.
little more time.
And then we decide whether we need a table or whether we need
Because
an individual
I
ticket.
think the table was
It was
eight-
$600
It was
for a
$600 for the eight people, I
Yeah,
believe.
600.
Yeah.
For a table of 8
people.
Yeah.
So let's wait and see what everybody wants to do, and then get a little more information for us.
That's perfect, because there's plenty of time to be able
Is there a
to.
deadline for?
As long as it happens before April 19th, I think we'll be all right. Yeah.
By the end of March, we need to know
Okay.
probably pretty soon.
Yeah.
I mean, they may have a limit. I mean, I don't know that.
Yeah, that's true. But it is taking place in Brawley, so I know that
Oh, that's right.
it's taking place at the Del Rio. So there is
at Del
a
Rio.
community benefit to us there.
Okay.
All right, so we'll post that item on our next agenda with at least a flyer, please?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And I know we did receive the information via email, I just don't know what the
I did too. but I
amounts
can't
were.
remember what it was.
All right,
The
so
chief
that,
gave us the 600.
we'll table till then. Next item on the agenda is departmental reports. 7A, monthly staff report for March 1st, 2018. Shirley Bonillas, Personnel and Risk Management Administrator.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council Members. Shirley Bonillas, Personnel and Risk Management. Page 103 of your agenda is the monthly staffing report, a couple little highlights. Today, we did conduct the interviews for a building inspector. Haven't had the chance to finalize those results. We do have the Assistant Finance Director interview scheduled for March 23rd. We have made a conditional offer, and that particular candidate has passed their physical and psych for dispatcher.
Oh, okay.
So we're down to one opening in dispatcher. No start date has been given quite yet. We'll finalize that in the next couple days. And of course, I'll always be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shirley,
Thank you.
appreciate it very much. Next items on the agenda are multiple items, informational reports and their attendance summary and minutes for the Brawley Airport Advisory Commission, which doesn't, well, they have the backup material here, Brawley Oversight Board, Brawley Parks and Rec, Brawley Planning Commission, Brawley Public Library Board of Trustees. And if there's any questions from anyone, we can answer them. Otherwise, we'll move on.
Just as a quick update, we're almost fully implemented with the minutes and agendas. We're having some technical difficulties on the library page. We're trying to work our way through it, but otherwise, you should be able to find under the department page the commission that's supported from a staffing point of view. So we have been able to implement. It's not probably displayed in the most attractive way, so we'll continue to try to work through it within the bounds of the website that we have.
Great.
All right. We'll move on to city council member reports. We'll start with council member Hamby.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the strategic planning session with everyone last Monday night. It was, I think it was fruitful, and hopefully we'll see some action based on that. Attended the Brawley Playhouse Theater press conference put on by the Brawley Community Foundation. That was encouraging to see movement there. It was well attended. And then briefly stopped in at the chamber mixer at the Elks Lodge afterwards, long enough to get some nachos.
And an iced tea. You had an iced tea.
I did have an iced tea.
Sorry.
No alcohol.
That we know of, right?
I have been speaking with several different citizens regarding the abandoned buildings that we've started to focus some attention on. Well, continue to focus attention on downtown. And city manager had directed me a while back to look at the Muni code that we have online, and so I did that, and I printed up the ordinance that has to do with the maintenance of abandoned buildings or vacant property. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that it's quite comprehensive, and so I printed up copies for everyone. Each one is 2 pages, if you would mind passing those around. Anyway, I would just like to figure out what we can do to enforce what we actually have on the books. Maybe look at it, revisit it for maybe adding a few sentences here and there. But if a code enforcement officer is the correct arm to implement or to enforce the ordinance here, I would like to say I'm in full agreement with what Mayor Nava had proposed. I believe at the strategic planning session of hiring at least part-time a code enforcement officer, maybe pulling from someone that's done it before, that knows the process, that we could use on a part-time basis. And anyways, it was eye-opening, and I thought I would share it with those of you. Maybe you've all read it, but I think it's great to see that it's already on the books, and that with a little bit of tweaking, we can start looking like Indian Wells, I think.
Yeah. I just came from there, and it's beautiful.
That's it for me.
If we could look at least partly like that,
Thank
that
you.
would be great.
Thank you. Next item, or excuse me, next council member, Councilmember Kastner Howdy.
Okay. I don't think I gave an update last at our meeting, so I did attend. I supported the Ivy Cancer Center fundraiser that, they had over at the Hidalgo. It was a fun event, paint and wine, and very good turnout for that event. And then I attended the Brawley Chamber meeting along with Sam. I've been attending those only. I know that Sam's the official rep, but I'm his alternate, and I find it that I'm getting a lot of really good information, finding out how we can work together with the chamber. So Sam and I will probably continue attending if we're both available. So she shares a lot of really good information. Although I was kind of, I think most of the people that were there, they have a new contract that they want it's a contract, right, to sign for the members that are
Yeah, there's a
serving on the
new
board.
contract, but we're not going to sign that.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe we will.
It was a pretty detailed, kind of scary contract, I thought.
Kind of scary, yeah, it said a couple things there, but.
I looked at Sam and I said, Sam, are you signing that?
And Sam
Anyway.
said no, right?
Right, he said no. So it's pretty official stuff for the people that are serving on that board with the Brawley Chamber. Pretty serious. I also attended the strategic planning session along with the rest of the council, which was very good, very enlightening. I think that we did a good job in getting our thoughts and also in the public that attended and shared information with us. And hopefully, we're able to glean all the really good information off of there and move forward with that. And then I attended the press conference at the Brawley Community Foundation, Brawley Playhouse Theater. That was well attended, and George did a really good job also, and along with Tim and the other Community Foundation members of explaining what the plan is for that playhouse. I think it's very exciting. There's a lot of money. We still need a lot of money to be raised, but I think it's doable, and I think the community will support it. So I was really happy to be able to be part of that. And then I was able to attend the mixer for a little bit, and then went on to El Centro for another event in the same day, so that was a busy Thursday night. And then I always support of course, our California Midwinter Fair, which is still ongoing, but I managed to be out there on Friday and Saturday to support my 4-H grandchildren that had 1 calf and 3 goats. And they're for auction, so if anybody's interested in bidding, I invite you out there. And I didn't make the Sunday event, but I will be out there again for the auction, so it's really kind of an interesting process. I find it to be a lot of hard work, but I think it's very educational for the kids to really get involved in this, because I mean, for one thing, for them to get out there and show their animal, and they're so serious about everything they have to do. And, you know, sometimes they don't get the place that they want to get, and it's so disheartening for them, for the parents and the grandparents. But it's a learning lesson, and, you know, it's really good for them to go through this whole process. So I just love it. You know, I'm encouraging them to, because if they're not able to sell it, then I guess grandma and grandpa are going to have to buy it. But anyway.
Hear, hear.
Okay.
Once you name those animals, it's hard to eat them.
It's so hard. No, I can't, you know, it's really hard.
Especially
Anyway,
goats.
as you can tell, I mean, that's just, I don't know, I don't think that I could have one of those animals in my yard and raise them and then go out there and sell it. So it really touches my heart. But then, along with what we were hearing today from some of our merchants and some of the issues in downtown, I did share some concerns with Rosanna and followed up with some of the Brawley business owners on some of their concerns, and they're being resolved, so that's good. And on our ad hoc committee, I hope the rest of the council has not forgotten, Donnie and I are on an ad hoc committee, but we were just too busy these past 2 weeks, so we plan to have it ready for you the next council meeting.
Very well.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Couchman.
Okay. I did the strategic planning meeting, as you know, with everyone else, and it was a good meeting, I thought. And then I did the theater press conference and the mixer at the Elks. I'll mention the Elks. That's a neat thing, and it was actually a well-attended chamber mixer, probably more well-attended because of the press conference. And a lot of people, and we had people from Calexico that came over to visit for our press conference, and we had people from El Centro, and they all went over to the Elks, and we had a very good time over there. And I thought it was good to network with a council member from Calexico about some of their issues ongoing right now, and some of the other members from Calexico. And then the Elks had a really good event, though, and I thought that was really neat for them. I also attended Imperial Valley ROP Community Foundation meeting, and I represent the city on that, on the Community Foundation, and we're gearing up for Dancing with the Stars.
The tickets arrived today.
We do have a table, and they are sold out right now. The event is scheduled for May, and we had to go to a smaller venue at St. Mary's, and consequently, there's like 150 to 200 less tickets, and so that's pretty much all sold out. There'll be a waiting list. They'll probably have other tickets available, but it won't be very many. So
it'll just be Dancing with the Star?
Yeah, dancing. No, they got all the stars and the judges and everybody else that's involved in that. So we'll see how we do with that event this year. It's kind of a transitional year because we did go to a different venue because of our concerns with our old venue, and so we'll see how this works, and if this doesn't work, we'll do something different for the following year. Brawley Chamber meeting, as Norma indicated, we attended that. I also had the opportunity to go and dress as the Cat in the Hat and go to Phil Swing School and read to the first grade students. And my granddaughter happens to be a first grade student. I think that's why they assigned me those two classes that I read to. So I read to the first grade students, and I read the book, The Cat in the Hat. So it was all real good. I didn't realize how big that book is, though, till I started to read it I'd read it many times with my children and grandchildren.
Those are big words there,
but
Sam.
it's a little bigger book than some of the other ones. I could have done one fish, or blue fish, red fish, whatever it is, or I could have read something else. But I picked The Cat in the Hat, and I think that's the largest book. So I read that one. Had a good response from all the students, and first graders are very inquisitive.
Tough crowd.
Yeah, they're a tough crowd. Yeah, they're a very tough crowd.
Tough crowd.
You tell them that guys are flying kites inside, and they go, but there's no wind. How do you fly a kite inside? And one little girl goes, they used a fan.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm going, okay, if that's the way they do it, that's the way they do it, so they have ideas and they have imagination. Also today, I went to Hedrick School in El Centro, and I did a presentation for them on, they did a career fair. It was a career fair, and it was a science theme, so I went and represented 8-Minute Energy and did a thing on solar energy for the students in the 3rd grade over there. Now, they're an interesting group, too. And so we did a real good job with that. So that was a lot of fun. And I'm also slated to read, dress up as the Cat in the Hat, and go to Hidalgo School on Friday and read to the kids over there. And so I get around.
Fantastic.
Dr.
Seuss tour.
And with that, that's my report. I have seen the police out. I have seen fire, all the people at the city working, and I do appreciate that every day, seeing you all out there doing your jobs. Very
Thank
nice.
you, Councilmember Couchman.
Next time, maybe green eggs and ham.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm sorry I
And
couldn't
I
join
think
you.
we should look like La Jolla.
It's an easier
I don't
read.
want to look like anybody. I want to look like La Jolla. If we can do that, then we'll be okay.
I want to look like Brawley, just a better looking
Yes,
Brawley.
better looking
Yeah.
Brawley, I think.
But no, I'm sorry I wasn't able to join you that day. I was scheduled, but quite honestly, it wasn't on my calendar for whatever reason, and I missed the
And
opportunity.
I saw
to
your
read.
name
Yeah,
down there,
so-
but I didn't see everybody that presented, so I didn't
Yeah, so
know
I'm
that.
sorry I didn't catch you there. Normally, it's what ended up happening. I had a short conversation with an organizer, and they were going to send me email confirmation so I could schedule it, and it never happened. So next time I can join you, I hope so.
I think we got it done. And the district attorney was there helping out, and we had a lot of other family and
You had,
parents and stuff that were there.
Fantastic. Well, I'm glad it all worked out.
It's an election year.
All right, so we will work out. We'll move on to our Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Donnie Warren.
I'll be quick, sir. I ran in the NAF El Centro Fun Run Bike 10K half marathon. I actually ran the 10K.
Just
set a
happened to be
personal
cameras
best.
there, too.
Happened to be cameras there. Placed 17th overall out of about
Fantastic.
80 runners,
In
and
your age
placed
group?
in my age group. And
Third
I'll
in
just
his
leave
age
it at
group.
that.
Third
I
in his
survived.
age group, right?
But it was. I'm pleased to see a lot of Brawley residents actually were
Fantastic.
participating
They
in
do.
that as well. Attended the fairs. I always do every year in different capacities. Also, I know I'm skipping around here a little bit, but I'll be meeting with our city manager on an interest, and I think council's received an email on this, but at the Brawley Municipal Airport, we'll be looking for a new potential FBO manager, vendor, and I may be bringing a very interested party to the table, so we'll see where that goes, and hopefully we'll have that meeting this week. Well, I'll certainly report, or you'll hear from the city manager how that goes. Also with that, the strategic planning session I thought went very well. It was my honor and pleasure to help kind of guide that discussion. And as I mentioned before, no two of those sessions are exactly the same. But I'm certainly glad that there were some good takeaways from there that we can work closely with staff on. So I appreciated that happening. And one last thing, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but the Navion Society that had their annual fly-in at the Brawley Airport, on behalf of them and all those that are involved, they're very grateful, thankful, and appreciative of the condition and the accommodating, again, facilities that we have at the airport. And just bear in mind, it's not a big association, but they represent for this particular type of aircraft. This is the national association, so they choose to be here, and its history has been for many, many years here in Imperial Valley. So again, it was a pleasure to have that. I attended their dinner the night before where they had some award presentations and whatnot. So again, just another nice feather in the cap, and I'm glad that happened. And thank you to Rosanna and staff for kind of working around our construction project there to help accommodate that. I was maybe seen down at Imperial for their tri-tip cook-off, but, maybe I wasn't. So I was down there too. Always good to actually help support some of our neighboring towns. So that's it, Mr. Mayor.
All right, fantastic. And I'll try to keep it short here. I also attended the strategic planning session. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Wharton, for helping facilitate that. And I think some great ideas were harnessed there. So I'm hoping we can, not hoping, I know that we can put our heads together and direct some traffic this year and get some things accomplished. So I'm excited about that. Still very early in the year. I know it's the beginning of March, but there's a lot of time left to make some positive change. So Also attended the press conference for the Playhouse Theater. That's a project that's been ongoing for about 10 years. So I'm happy to see the stage where it's at now, and it's a matter of funding, but I think there's a strong effort to get the message out that that project could really help revitalize our downtown. I'm very supportive of their efforts, so I hope that they're successful in their fundraising and grant opportunities that they apply for and everything else that they're doing. So happy to see that movement come into play. And for those of you who were able to go down there, you saw that there's a tremendous amount of work that's been done in removal of the old seats and there's a lot of bird droppings and the old roof that was there. So there's a lot of work that's been performed, and when you look at it, it seems like nothing's been done, but I'll tell you what, it's very significant. They've probably spent about $350,000 so far in just the work that's been performed. I think they expect to spend about $1.7 million in revitalizing the entire theater. And I also attended the Elks Mixer afterwards. That was, it's always nice to be over at the Elks. Unfortunately, I don't get out there too often, but as an Elks member. But, it's great to see the public out there. And we did have members of the public from different parts of the county and council members from different parts of the county attend as well. That's always good to exchange some ideas and talk a little shop there with them. So I appreciate that. A couple interesting things. One, I met with Luis Olmedo of Comité Cívico del Valle, and he had some really great ideas that he presented, with respect to some of the strategic planning. I know that I've mentioned, downtown parking in Brawley, and he had mentioned to me, and we were able to make a quick call, or he was able to make a quick call, in telling me that there is money available for electric vehicle stations. A charging station, right? And so the benefit would be if we were to have a downtown location with parking, that could be an electric vehicle charging station. Doesn't sound like it's that significant. When you start to think about it, however, you're driving traffic here that wouldn't normally be here. We don't have that access here. So, and there's some grant opportunity money that he has access to. So, fantastic way of utilizing a nonprofit organization to help build your community. So that's always a good sign. He also had, and I know it's been expressed in the past, but just downtown and really Main Street beautification, something we can maybe look at very quickly is seeing what, and we've done it in the past with our military presentation of signs, but seeing what the cost would be to maybe have some seasonal signage down Main Street on our posts. So I think that can help just quickly. I remember growing up and there, when Christmas came around, there was the older Christmas decorations. Unfortunately, those are long gone. But if we were to just keep it very simple and have something down Main Street, that could really help shape the change and look of downtown. So I wanted to mention that to all of you. And he brought that to my attention. And I know it's something we've discussed here before, but I really want to make sure we harness all our energy on making things, not just talking about them, but really putting them before council and making sure that we agree or not agree on something and move forward. Glad Council Member Hamby did mention the code enforcement and brought us the material, and that's one challenge we've had in that we don't have a code enforcement officer for several years now. But we were very successful when we did have someone being able to reach out to the public, because it's a specialized skill. You can't just go in and talk to people. Oftentimes it's confrontational, or oftentimes it's a challenge, but you do have to have a particular skill set in addressing those concerns with the public. And I think we were very successful in accomplishing that. I did mention to everyone a few weeks back that I would reach out to Rick Breland. He was our previous code enforcement officer, and at least a few years back he'd expressed interest in doing it on a contract basis. So I'll revisit with him to see if I can get a hold of him. I know I reached out a couple weeks back and I didn't get a response, but I will make sure that I touch base with him, because I would like to see this before us here very soon and decide whether or not that's the direction we want to take. I'd also like to propose something to the rest of council as well. With respect to the things that we've talked about, like low-hanging fruit, I think that's one of them. The other item I would like to propose in a very near future agenda is to address the issue that we have with respect to messaging, and that is social media messaging, video, all the things that we talk about that we haven't been doing, right?
In the strategy session.
within
Came
the
up.
strategy session that came up, but it's been discussed for several years now. And so I would like to see a position created and discussed amongst council for somebody that can write well, communicate effectively, can get the message out on our, the various social media platforms, but really kind of take all the wins that we have throughout the city and put them out for the public to know. Okay, because, I think there's so many things going on within the city, ADA improvements. We just approved a Hinojosa improvement plan. We just awarded $800 and some thousand to a local company. I want the people of Brawley and the Valley to know of those wins. And so what significance that has for everybody. Because I can tell you, nobody knows that that's taking place except for the people in the know, and that's the people here and us. And so, and it's hard to explain. When a picture, a short description, a congratulations, it gets people excited, it gets people moving, and it gets the word out effectively on what we're doing here. So I want to bring that before council, and again, to decide whether or not we want to support that or not. So, and there's another company that I am working with, and I'm trying to get them to locate here. They've already expressed interest in being in downtown, and I won't mention who because it's still, they're still in that point to where it's not foregone conclusion that they will be here, but I'm working very effectively with them to see if we can get them to bite on buying a property out here in downtown Brawley and locating their business here. And I can just tell you this, it would be a very, very, very significant improvement and addition to our downtown Brawley business. So I'll do that. The other things that I wanted to mention, I will make a commitment to reach out to Earl Allen, Ms. Castañeda on 6th Street, and bring back maybe some suggestions on things we can do on council. And then, and I will follow up with Rick Breland as well. And of course, I'll make sure, or we all will make sure that city staff visits with the soccer clubs and make sure that they're brought up to speed on the process. So, and that's my report. Thank you. And let's see what else. That's it. So I know that was a little lengthy, but I did want to make sure that I provided that information. Next is city manager's report.
Just want to thank our deputy city clerk for standing in for Alma Benavides, who will be out this week. She's done a great job. Pinch hitting for Alma.
Especially on that particular topic, because she was like shaking when she's like opening those. She's like, I don't want to goof this up right now. Yeah, that's because I'll tell you, in the past 10 years, I think that's been done once before. And so yeah. Anyway.
And she got to it.
And that's all I have to report at this
All
time.
right, thank you. And next is city attorney's report.
I think we just have a short closed session, but DS Arts, one of the students, a local Brawley High girl, won grand champion in the open division for painting. So
Fantastic, fantastic.
Who was that? Who was the girl?
Caitlin Pedersen.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I know.
She's
Kate.
very, very good artist.
Right? Yeah.
How did my kids do? Do you know?
I don't.
You want a total report?
I'm gonna have to go to that
Yes.
building. I didn't get a chance because I was with the animals.
The DS Arts people always do really well.
Fantastic.
But they're
See?
mostly the only ones that enter too. So.
Okay. Well, that's hey.
If you do,
That's the way it works.
You shouldn't have added that.
Hey, it is what it is.
It is what it
All
is.
right. So, Deputy City Clerk, would you like to report anything?
No, not to go back.
All right. You want to show everybody your scissors? Because I like the fact that they're pink-handled scissors. And that's what
There
she
you
used to do the job today. So good job. Those are the official scissors of the ballot opening. All right. Well, thank you all very much. We'll go into closed session in just a minute. We'll take a short 3-minute break, and we'll go into closed session. Thank you.